Okay, the last video on simultaneous equations is looking at how we actually apply these to situations. There are many practical applications, some which we'll show below. This here is from your textbook. It's really useful to look through, that when solving practical problems, the steps to use. Define the unknown quantities using appropriate pronumerals. So in the example below, Ashley received better results for his maths test than English. The sum of the 2 marks, so in other words, if you add his maths mark and his English mark together, he got 164. The difference of the 2 marks is 22, remembering he did better in maths than he did English. This is enough information. We can use simultaneous equations to work out what Ashley received for maths and what Ashley received for English. So the first step, define the unknown quantities using appropriate pronumerals. So I'm going to put let M equal Ashley's maths mark, let E equal English mark. This is slightly different to your textbook. I think it uses X and Y, but to me it makes sense, M maths, E English. So we have defined the unknown quantities using appropriate pronumerals. Use the information given to form 2 equations in terms of these pronumerals. So we are told that his maths and English mark added together, or hers, Ashley, was 164. We were told that maths mark was better than the English mark, better by 22. So if you get the maths mark, take away the English mark, is 22. Because he did better in maths than English by 22. So we've just done the second thing, used the information to set up 2 equations. Solve these equations using an appropriate method. So I'm going to do equation 1 and equation 2. Now it might make it easier for you to realise that these are 1s here. When there's nothing there, it's not a nothing, it's a 1. So I'm going to highlight M's because they've both got the same coefficient. Some of you might say, hey, you can highlight the E's, they've both got the same coefficient, and you can. You'll end up getting the same answer just using a different method. But I've chosen to highlight the M's and they have the same sign, so we are going to subtract the equations from each other. Remembering that it's the sign with the M that we say is the same sign. Don't get sucked in and say, hey, these signs are different here, so we add the equations. No, it's the sign that's with the M. So I'm going to do 1, subtract 2. So 1M minus 1M, gone, no M. So we have eliminated the M. So we're using the elimination method. Then I've got 1E subtract minus 1E, and I've got 164 subtract 22. This becomes 2E, this becomes 142, divide by 2, so E is 71. So in other words, Ashley got 71 for English. Now if we substitute 71 for E, and I'm going to choose equation 1. So equation 1 is 1M plus 1E equals 164. And I am putting 1E plus 71 equals 164. Just a reminder, I have put 71 there instead of E because we have found that E is 71. I then take my 71 and then M equals 93. So Ashley got 93 for maths and Ashley got 71 for English. So if we look above at the steps, we have solved it. Write the solution in words. The problem, the equation, was a sentence, so your solution needs to be in a sentence. So Ashley scored 93 for maths and 71 for English. So we have written a solution in words, and remember we can always check our solution by substituting what we got back in to see if it's correct. The next worked example. To finish a project, Genevieve buys a total of 25 nuts and bolts. Each nut cost 12 cents, each bolt 25 cents. In total, Genevieve spent $4.30. We've got to work out how many nuts she bought, how many bolts that she bought. So, going back to our steps. Step 1, to find the unknown quantities. So I'm going to put let n equal number of nuts. Let b equal number of bolts. Again, I think you'll find the worked example in your textbook uses x and y. I like to use n and b. That's step 1. Step 2. Use the information to form 2 equations. So in total, if we add together the nuts that Genevieve buys and the bolts that Genevieve buys, it's a total of 25. We don't know how many nuts, we don't know how many bolts, but we know together there's 25. The next step is that each nut costs 12 cents. So there's a nut. If we times that by 12, if she buys 10 nuts, for example, it's 120 cents. If she bought 5 nuts, it's going to be 60 cents because 5 times 12. So however many nuts she buys, you times it by 12 to work out the cost because each nut costs 12 cents. And then each bolt that she bought cost 25 cents. So if we times b by 25, and in total she spent $4.30. So one thing we need to note is that this is in cents, this is in dollars, we need it the same. So $4.30 is 430 cents. So we don't know how many of each she bought, but each nut cost 12 cents, each bolt cost 25 cents, and she spent 430 cents. So there's our equations, equation 1 and equation 2. Now, I can't eliminate anything straight away because this is a 12 here with the n, it's a 1 here with the n. It's a 25 here with the b, it's a 1 there with the b. So I'm going to multiply the first equation by 12. So if I do that, I get 12n plus 12b equals 300. That becomes equation 3. Now let's look at equation 2 and let's look at equation 3. Both of them have a 12 with the n. So we can eliminate the n's. They're the same sign, so same sign, subtract. So I am going to do equation 2, subtract equation 3. 12n subtract 12n eliminates the n's. 25b subtract 12b is 13b. 430 subtract 300 is 130. Divide by 13, b is 10. So she buys 10 bolts. If I substitute b for 10 for b, so in number 1, so here's number 1, but I'm going to put, instead of b, I'm going to put 10. Then I'm going to take 10, so n is 15. So we have just found that Genevieve bought 10 bolts, 15 nuts. Let's just use our common sense for a brain for a sec. We were told in total she bought 25 things. Immediately I reckon I am on the right track because look, she bought 10 of those, 15 of those, that's 25 things. So a little common sense check tells me, yep, I'm on the right track. So let's look at our steps above, see what we've done. We've now solved it. We've got to write the solution in words. So it started as a sentence, it's got to finish as a sentence. She bought, or Genevieve bought, she bought 15 nuts and 10 bolts. So that being our solution, we're writing it as a sentence because it started as a sentence. And again, we can do a check to see if we're right. I just did a quick common sense check. So that's how we would solve that one. So you can see that these two worked examples show how you can apply simultaneous equations.